Well, hello again. Welcome back to RVing to Alaska, Monday Night Chat.
Part two. Questions and answers.
Yeah, our first part, we got a little chatty and it took a little bit longer. So we thought
not chatty, it's just there's a lot of information.
There is.
We want to make sure you guys have a great time.
So in this part 2, we are going to answer all your questions. We asked you what was your number one question of RVing to Alaska. And we had about, I'd say 20 people.
If not more.
Three pages worth of questions.
There's a lot of questions here. Yeah, it was really good.
So we're going to go ahead and answer those for you and hopefully help you with your planning to RVing to Alaska.
Yes, that's our goal.
Yeah.
Can we help you? If you have more questions, ask them.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
That's what this page is for, and it is now open for conversation, so you can submit your questions and we can get the party started.
Create the post. See what happens.
All right. Questions. We asked you guys last week to send in your number one question on RVing to Alaska.
This print is super small, folks. I can't tell. Can you read that? I can't read that.
That's what you have glasses for. Put them on.
Clicks.
So we're going to go through these. We really appreciate your patience in getting through all this, but I think you'll enjoy our answers. And Gary has no idea.
I have not. This is the first. Well, these are dirty. This is the first time I've seen these questions, so this will be fun for me, I guess.
So we're going to go ahead and start right off. Quincy Klugman. I'm sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly.
We're not professional linguists.
What do you wish you knew before you took your first RV trip to Alaska?
You're asking me this?
Yeah, I want to know for you.
Shoot, that was a long time ago.
So our first RV trip was in 2017, which we have put on our YouTube channel. Every drive day is on that channel.
But with that, we knew we were going to go up in 17 2 years prior, so we were researching starting in 2015. Mm-hmm. So
what do you wish you knew before you took your first RV trip to Alaska?
There's 2 years of research to go back to figure out that I didn't know something.
I think it's how big Alaska really is.
You know, that's probably it. How long does it take to drive 300 miles in Alaska?
It's not like the lower 48.
You know, we lived in Washington State. We would drive from Spokane to Seattle, which is our home to Seattle. It was 300 miles. And it was 4 to 4.5 hours.
Tops.
300 miles in Alaska can be 6 to 7 hours. I don't know how it works. But driving 300 miles in Alaska takes a heck of a lot longer than it does anywhere else in the lower 48. I think you're right. That is probably the one thing I wish I knew, because when you're budgeting your time, when you're budgeting your road travel, you really need to know how long it takes to go that distance.
Well, especially when you're planning between city to city and you're thinking, 300 miles or even 150 miles, that's easy.
Right.
Well, all our roads are single lane highway.
Most of them.
For the most part.
80% of them.
And they're lower speed limits. Mm-hmm. Then you have road conditions, and then you have road construction. Because summer is road construction season.
And then sometimes you have the locals who like to take their time.
Yes, the locals take their time. They know you're a tourist, and they don't care. So yes, I would say distance it takes to travel between cities.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Fairbanks is...
It's 300 miles from here.
And it took us 6 hours to get there.
6+ hours.
Yeah. So it's...
In a car.
Not towing it, not in a car. Yeah, right. Where I could go over the speed limit. But just take that information and use it in your planning. I double your time that you would normally, or 1.5 your time.
Google kind of does a good job of judging how long it will take if you put it into their Google Maps, because it takes data from people's cell phones and realizes the true estimated time.
But also, most of that information is based on a truck or a car vehicle, not an RV.
RV,
so
it's
then
slower.
at that point, when you're driving an RV, it's a challenge for you to meet that time.
Yeah.
I've done that once or twice.
Yep.
All right, so here's the next question from Donna Glenn. Thank you, Donna. What is the first thing to do to get started on planning? Oh, well, the first thing to do.
Join RVing to Alaska.
I mean, right,
original
we're right
page.
here with you. Let's just join our Facebook group, our Instagram, and
Our
all of the
YouTube
socials.
channel. So we are on social media as RVing to Alaska. Facebook, it's RVing to Alaska Original. That's our Facebook group, which you're probably already there if you're watching this. Also Instagram, Twitter, a little, barely. And our YouTube channel, huge resource because we have years of content, of RVing content, but specifically our entire 2017 trip up here was completely documented. Every mile, every campground, every tour.
So much travels.
We filmed it all.
I mean, so that's a great thing to do, but there's got to be more than just joining.
There's just a moment. I pre-planned for this.
What are you talking about? Oh my God. What's this? Holy cow. Yeah, this is what you do, folks. You load yourself up on books, on atlases, on maps, on mileposts, and you start researching.
Number one, I would suggest a milepost. A lot of people hate this book. A lot of people love this book.
It's not a book that you open to this page and continue from page to page to page. It's arranged by roads and routes.
It's color-coded by routes, and then it's by mile
By miles.
post. And I will be honest, it's easiest to read as you're traveling. Your co-pilot, your navigator, can read off all the information as you're traveling down the road, and it's wonderful information if used the correct way.
I would normally sit down with that book the night before our drive day.
Because you can't read this as
I'm not
we're
reading
going.
while we're driving, but she would have it in her lap while we're driving. But I would read it the night before, so I had an idea of what's coming up.
I will say this book here is 2019. In 17, when we traveled, we worked on a 2016 book. 2019, we wanted the actual year because we hit a couple of things and the dates were off, so they were still closed when we showed up.
Right.
But you can travel on previous year's information. Just know things have changed from year to year. I will also say this is 100% paid advertising. So not every campground or attraction is going to be listed in here because it's pay to play. And that has its benefits as well as disadvantages.
Right.
So just know that. But I do think it is a good resource to have in your planning bucket.
Well, specifically the current year. You know, the last couple of years have been difficult on a lot of lodges and small community areas. And things have changed, closed down, moved, whatever it may be.
But I do think it is a valuable resource. New books, so the 2023 book should come out in March. They usually release in March. You can pre-purchase through Amazon.
But regardless of the minute changes that occur year to year, like I just said, the miles don't change,
Nope.
the cities don't change.
Nope.
It's just what's within those towns that change. So use that and then go online to find out what's in the towns that's around.
Exactly. Another really great resource I recommend is the church's Traveler's Guide to Alaska Camping. This has great information into the different areas, campgrounds, state, national, everything. So this is another great book, and I believe they have a newer edition. This is the 7th. I believe there's an 8th edition that came out during the pandemic. Also, you can always go into your local bookstore, find books on Alaska to help you figure out what to do while you're here. And then I highly
You have to have one of these.
recommend paper road maps.
Yep. Yep.
And this book, I will say, is primarily bush, meaning there's no roads in a lot of these pages, but where there are roads, where's this? This is on the Kenai.
Kenai.
It gives you invaluable
Very good
information,
yes.
especially if you like to kind of take some off
Get way up here
4x
above
roads.
the city of Kenai up here, and these on the coastal areas. There's so much area up there.
Just tons of
Yeah,
information
it shows you a lot of trails.
to find in this book. So Alaska Gazette, there's some other, I think National Geographic does a book similar. Gazetteer. What
Come on, a Gazette.
Gazette. Also road maps, guys. These are invaluable information. You'll find these along the way if you stop at visitor centers. Go visit Amanda at Taylor. You can pick these up usually for free.
Yep.
And I will say, as you work your way north, they get a little less detailed. But there's less roads. So it
not
kind
many
of
roads going
makes
through the Yukon.
sense. But paper maps are very necessary because you're not always going to have cell signal. And then your satellite GPS can only provide you so much. Also, while you're traveling, well, we'll get to that while you're traveling, but that's what you can do prior.
So, prior to traveling, planning, yeah. What do you got to do to plan? So there you go. Join and research.
Join and research. All right, next question. Marilyn Hanson Beck. Right now, I'm wondering if we are too old. They are 79, 77, and maybe a 51-year-old.
Sounds like their son's traveling with them, or
daughter.
Yeah.
And they're going to be leaving Indiana in late June. Is it too late?
Is June too late, or is that age too late? Neither one. No. I mean, so you have to consider your driving ability at your own. I can't say that you're too old, too young to do that. You have to be able to establish your own driving ability at that age. But the last part of that question, is June too late?
No.
No, June's just
But
starting.
I think they're asking more if they're too old. And I don't
think so. I mean, the biggest thing is are you comfortable driving, well, from the Canadian border to Alaska is 3,000 miles. So are you comfortable driving that 3,000 miles plus whatever it is to Indiana? That's a personal question that you have to answer.
If you're comfortable driving across the United States from coast to coast,
then you should be able to do Canada and Alaska.
It's the same distance.
Yeah.
It's about 3,000 miles once you hit the western states and go north. It's a matter of how long you drive each day, your rest periods in between, and you've got it. And the very nice thing about our group, you have a network of complete strangers that it's going to be able to help you if something goes on and you need the help. A cry for help on our page, someone will be near.
Right.
So,
and maybe 51-year-old, if you want to have your son or daughter, whoever it is with you, then, that would be a bonus. That would be a help, of course.
Yeah.
But 77, 79,
You're still young.
You're still young at heart, and you still want to go out on adventure. I have no problem seeing you up here and visiting with you guys.
And it kind of leads into the next question by Rose Drake. Availability of medical facilities while traveling.
There's major medical facilities in all the larger cities.
And you're going to find medical clinics in a lot of the smaller towns and villages. In Canada, they have a different healthcare system than we do, but you can still go in and pay for care and to be seen. And I know last year we had quite a few people that had dental emergencies, and they went in and they were taken care of. Just because you're in the North Country doesn't mean that we don't have medical facilities or doctors or nurses.
I mean, Anchorage, Wasilla, Fairbanks, Kenai, Homer, Seward, they all have medical facilities, and all the big cities.
If it's a serious accident or illness, they will fly you to where you need to be, such as Anchorage or even down to Seattle.
And now there is medevac insurance too that you can purchase.
Yes. And we will cover that in future content on our moderator Mondays, where I can deep dive into information and provide you resources such as travel insurance, medevac insurance, and all those different things to help you.
Right. So we have everything. Let's see. We're going to the next question.
Campgrounds.
Campgrounds. Okay. So Ray Johnson is asking, first off, there are two couples traveling together in two separate RVs. Awesome. They plan to go on both 21 and 22. Sorry, they didn't make it yet. Has been great reading from the past 2 years. 23 is our year to finally travel to Alaska. Awesome. Great. And you among thousands of others, I'm sure. So, campgrounds is the first question. We have our itinerary and reservations made anywhere we are staying for a length of time. Have had to adjust due to campgrounds serving our tour companies. What difficulties have folks had in the past? What difficulties in rescheduling or reserving?
I think just if you are a person that needs to have reservations and you're a detailed person, do it. It will help you.
Have some forgiveness within those reservations.
Yeah, usually have a day or two where you can either stay longer or go elsewhere. Having to adjust to campground serving tour companies. I think it's more the caravans.
Right.
And usually the caravans will not completely fill up a park. That happens to folks who are flying by the seat of their pants on a whim and not booking in advance. That's harder for folks like that, like us. We don't like making reservations in advance to get in because they're booked. But if you book in advance, say starting in March, typically, you should be okay. The caravans don't take every campground every night in every city. They start someplace and then, inevitably you're going to run into the same people all the time because there's so few roads. But you just need to work your schedule that maybe you're there when they're not.
In 22, this past year was a light travel season. So people were able to make last minute changes and were able to very easily go to the next campground with a day's notice or not, or that day's notice. Coming up in 23 might be a little bit different story because of the number of travelers coming up. So yeah, just gotta be aware.
But we heard a lot of people say 2022 is going to be super, super busy, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So
he's got a second question within this question as well. So what about
sightseeing?
Sightseeing. Well, those generally are booked the day when you arrive. Are there too many sightseeing tours booked in advance?
No, a lot of people. So there's the big ones, like if you want to go see the bears or if you want to go fish, you need to book those in advance. But other ones, it depends.
Right. It's hard. That's a hard one to even comment much about because a lot of people plan their travels around their sightseeing. So I want to do this in Homer then, and I want to do this in Seward then, and I want to do this, and they plan the travels around sightseeing. So they book the sightseeing, and then within those cities or towns, there's multiple campground options, and we'll just go find something.
Yeah, that might be the best way to do it. Find your sightseeing, what you want to do, and then book around that.
Yeah.
Book your sightseeing first so you know you're going to be there. But also give yourself a couple days after that date in case that tour cancels and you need to rebook.
Sometimes there's weather issues.
Especially if you're going out on the ocean.
Yes. All right, next question.
Next question is from Linda Robinson Nelms. What are your favorite best value campgrounds?
Oh, that's great. 'Cause everybody's looking, they want to travel to Alaska, but they don't want to break the pocketbook. So, there's provincial parks.
In Canada.
And the state park system in Alaska is really nice too, and fairly affordable. That's not bad at all.
Exactly. They're very equivalent in cost and services provided. Normally, both of them, it's going to be dry camping, so you're not going to have electricity.
Right.
You're not going to have a dump station, but you can easily find those things.
Normally, there's a dump station, like some of the state parks have dump stations.
I apologize. I mean septic at their site.
Oh, correct. Okay, correct.
But usually, you can find a dump station close or at that facility. And usually, it's under $20 a night.
Yeah, very good.
Senior discounts are often provided, and usually set in beautiful locations.
And there's also a ton of private campgrounds out there, and they charge based on what they feel they're worth. And those private campgrounds are going to offer you maybe power at your site, 30 amp or maybe 50 amp, and water at your site. So you're going to pay a little bit more for those premium accesses.
I want to add to that though. Don't expect lower 48 amenities or
Correct.
beautification in a campground. Our weather up here it's
Our
harsh.
breakup season lasts from March, April, May.
Yes.
So it's snow melting, mud, greenery starting to emerge in May and June, and then beautiful June and July. It takes a while for Alaska to really pop and get beautiful.
And now that we've been up here through a full mud season, and we've seen some people fly up, run an RV, and they're like, oh, it's ugly. And it's like, well, it's not June yet.
Right.
So you got to give Alaska time to wake up and show her beauty. But also with that, it does, Alaska takes her toll on the private campgrounds, and those operators only have 3 months.
3 to 4 months to maintain their year.
Yeah, so
It's tough.
their prices are a little bit heftier than the public parks such as state campgrounds and provincial.
All right, next question comes from Phil Trevellino, I believe.
I think you did good on that.
Trevellino? Okay. Do we need campground reservations?
Well,
What do you think?
it's up to your camping style. If you
Right.
feel it's something necessary, we always say Denali National Park area.
Right.
Get a campground site,
Seward waterfront, you have to reserve in advance.
especially 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
Oh yes, and the waterfront. You're right.
Waterfront
100%. You have to book in
reservations.
advance online for Seward, and then I would also recommend up in Fairbanks for Midnight Sun.
Ooh, they're a big fun run festival. Yeah, that's an amazing time.
So that's summer solstice.
Yep,
So
yep.
June 21st, the
So-
weekend prior to
Right,
that date.
big holidays, holiday events, yeah, those things, special events, definitely, if you want to do that special event, a reservation is required. You know, Glacier View, when they do the 4th of July thing there, if you can get a reservation, do it.
I do have to say, over the last couple of years, Alaskans have really gotten out and hit the RV parks hard just because
They can.
it normally wasn't ever available to them. So you now are competing with the locals for those campground spaces as well. So if
Right.
you are someone that you need to know where you're going to be at, I would recommend reservations.
Reservations.
I would recommend reservations.
Absolutely.
Us, we hate reservations, but
I'll find a spot on the side of the river somewhere and call it amazing, versus a reservation.
so that leads to our next
Oh,
set of
shoot.
questions happen to
Boondocking.
be on boondocking.
There we go. That's what we're talking about.
So Miss Neva Reimel,
Oh, I know her.
I know her too.
All right. Hi, Neva.
Neva asks, we love to boondock, but not way off the main road.
Right.
They're in a Class A with a toad. What is a good resource to finding boondocking locations?
Don't ask us because we take our motorhome way too far off the road sometimes.
True fact.
True fact.
I would say I would point to a couple of camping apps. If you're an avid RVer, you probably already have these tools in your arsenal, but if you're not, I would download Compendium. However, we have heard this last year the app to use to find excellent boondocking.
I'm thinking
iOverlander.
Yes.
Now keep in mind this app was traditionally used for smaller
self-contained vehicles.
like Jeeps
Trucks.
with tents on top. However, we found out this summer that many people in fifth wheels and Class A's were using iOverlander, and the reviews will tell you if it's good for a big rig or not.
Right.
There's also other sites that we've used in the past, freecampsites.net. And if you want free boondocking, I might also suggest Harvest Hosts or Boondockers Welcome. Those are paid membership programs, but you can...
And they're becoming more popular here in
They
Alaska.
are.
There's more and more popping up.
You can stay with locals either at their homes or with businesses in their parking lots.
Another thing about finding boondocking spots. So you're in a Class A with a towed. You know, you can't necessarily... You can pull into something, but if you get in trouble, you can't back out. Pull into an area where you can safely get off the road and get out and walk to the prospective camping ground. Or if you have a drone, fly the drone in Alaska, not Canada, and you can see the sightsee the area a little bit. Scout the area. That's what I was
Just
looking for,
don't
scout the area.
drive down some random road with your RV. Get out, walk it, and scout it
right.
before. Just make sure.
We've come into some situations where it's been difficult to get around, so scouting the area is hugely important.
Next question, Pam. I'm gonna hack your last name.
Let me see it.
Garau?
Let me see it.
Pam Garau?
I would say Garau. That's pretty Garau. Sure.
Garau. She asks, are there lots of places to overnight for free in Canada? I have a 26-foot Class C towing a Honda Fit. And I would say it depends where you are. The Alcan has many pull-offs where you can pull over and stay. Basically, if there's signage saying no overnight parking, then you got to move on and find something else. When we were in British Columbia, what I looked at a lot on Google Maps on your phone is I put in BC Rec site or recreation site.
BC Rec sites.
And that is equivalent to kind of like BLM parking in the lower 48.
But don't go to the Quesnel Rec site 26 miles off the road.
It was north of Quesnel.
North of Quesnel. Don't do that. There's a video about that.
Yeah, there's a video. But again, then once you find that rec site, do some research and see if you are perfectly capable.
Right.
With a 26-foot Class C towing.
That's pretty easy to get in a lot of places.
And maybe unhook your toad and go drive it in your car and see if it's doable. Again, scouting is key.
Right. All right, so let's go. Next question with Erica Wade. Some people had commented that their time in Canada was half the trip. How easy is it to boondock in Canada? Oh, well, we were just talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, these are all kind of relative
really
to
related.
boondocking.
And
let me say, Canada is worth every mile, every minute.
And I'm so glad that Canada is opening to free travel now because it's worth it.
Yeah,
I mean,
the last time we had to drive it, we only had 5 days to get through, and we did it in 4. I don't recommend flying through. Take your time.
There's beauty there.
In 17, we took 2 weeks to come up, and in 19, we took 3 weeks to come up. And it is beautiful at every stop, every turn, and it does deserve your time.
It does.
Again, boondocking is available. You just got to search a little bit for it.
I'm sure iOverlander will have sites in Canada as well.
And people will
Google Earth.
post as they find spots on our page too, and our past pages. Go to the RVing to Alaska 17, 18, 19, and 22 pages. I say that because obviously 20 and 21 didn't happen. But, and research, boondocking Canada, and you might find some gems.
Don't think you're just going to hop, skip, and jump through Canada. You're going to want to spend a reasonable amount of time, 2 to 3 weeks in Canada coming up, and maybe the same going down.
Okay, next question. Dasco Danny asks, we are from Austria.
Wow, great.
And are coming July and August of 2023 for 6 weeks.
Perfect.
RV is booked.
Good.
You've got a good start.
So they got the reservation already?
We're interested in places for boondocking. It's our first time with an RV. It's our first time in Alaska. And again, those resources that we provided for you are wonderful.
They would love to have this.
That is a great resource as well.
Yes.
There's lots of BLM. And remember, boondocking means for free. Dry camping means
like
no hookups, no power, nor water.
Like state park style.
Yeah. And some boondocking, like senior discounts in some of the national forests. You can camp for half price. So you might only be paying $9, and that's almost free camping.
That's very close to free camping in my book.
So hopefully these resources are helping you find.
Right.
And as we move through the winter and share information, you're going to find some, like I said, you're going to find some gems to put on your list to camp at.
Right. There are plenty of boondocking spots in Alaska that you can get off the road system a little ways and be in nature, be close to the mountains and all those wilderness animals. It's amazing. All right, so next question comes from Carla Bryant. We have a 34-foot fifth wheel. Is it too big to boondock, or do we need to make RV park reservations? No. We traveled all of Alaska in our 40-foot motorhome, towing our F-150 truck, and we predominantly boondock. That's how we prefer to camp.
And we're like 55 feet long?
Closer to 60, all hooked up and all that. Yeah, yeah. So.
And in Gary's parents joined us on our travels, and they were in
their 35-foot fifth wheel.
36 foot.
36
so,
foot.
And they went everywhere we did.
Right.
So you should have no problems.
Most of these boondocking spots or off-the-road camping areas are big enough to accommodate a fair amount of good-sized rigs.
Yep.
You shouldn't have a problem at all.
No, I would say not.
Yeah.
Mary McDonald is our next questionnaire, and she asks, are there any campsites that have a boondocking parking area? What areas, businesses are open to boondocking, and are those areas safe?
So are we talking boondockers welcome, or were we talking, I mean, is this...
I think she's lot docking at this point.
Yeah, it sounds like she's lot docking. So it's limited up here. Are we talking like Fairbanks, Walmart?
Well, yeah, Fairbanks, there's Walmart. There's Pioneer Park that I think you can pay a very small fee to stay at.
I really hope that our Cabela's in Anchorage
is not abused
and I hope they remain open this coming summer.
Cabela's has been severely abused, as has Walmart and Fairbanks. And
these places are urban lot docking locations where you should spend one, maybe two, but one night as I need to go from here to here kind of thing. Don't get out your barbecue, don't put out your chairs, don't do anything. Even keep your slides in if you can.
And ask permission.
That's so nice.
Go in, ask the manager, hey, I need one night, please.
There have been RVs in the Cabela's parking lot in Anchorage for 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months? What RV? 2 months.
Just
abuse.
not cool.
No.
I do know in Girdwood at Alyeska Ski Resort, there is camping available in their parking lot. Again, I think small fee.
I believe Kenai
Fred Meyer
is an urban boondocking.
So you can find them, and again, they'll probably pop up on iOverlander or in Campendium. Again, on this website as well, on our group page.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, we're moving into a different topic here.
Timing of travel.
Is this for me or you? I got this one. So, Tim Hunt. The best 4 weeks to be in Alaska. And is a week each for driving up and back enough, starting in North Dakota. Well, you got an easy start in North Dakota. I mean, right there.
A week to come up and a week down is cruising.
That's fast. I mean, if you don't want to see Canada, then that's fine. But there is a lot to see in Canada. You know, we covered that previously. 2 to 3 weeks is amazing.
Canada's worth it.
Yeah. 4 weeks in Alaska.
I have an opinion.
I do too. Go ahead.
Mid-June to mid-July.
Perfect. Exactly. Yep.
You're in full summer at that point.
If you...
Usually.
That's everything's starting to get green and beautiful and pretty and this and that. Fishing gets better mid-July towards August.
Mid-June.
Well, mid-June through August. Yeah. So
it depends where you are and what area.
Right.
But mid-June, if you had to pick 4 weeks
yep.
and only spend 30 days in Alaska, I would do it June 15th to
July 15th.
July 15th.
Absolutely agree with that.
And then make sure you got 4 days in Glen Allen to come camp with us.
Oh, that works out perfect.
Okay,
Right.
Wendy Shu. She's
Yes.
our next victim.
Perfect. Uh-oh.
If I leave Alaska after seeing the aurora, which seems to happen in September, to BC, will there be snow, and will you recommend bringing snow chains?
All right, so I do highly recommend staying in Alaska until you see aurora. You have to.
And
It's
I will
amazing.
say the earliest we have seen it is August 27th
Yes.
ish.
So once you get into mid-September, you should,
Oh,
see
yeah.
aurora
I
easily.
mean, it's October 2nd right
Right.
now, and we're dark,
Dark,
at
and we're dark.
8:30, and
So-
sunrise is at 8 a.m.
Well,
so,
the reason why I said should is because of cloud cover.
well, yes,
Cloud cover's been an issue.
You need
You need clear skies. But yes, stay and see aurora. Once you start traveling through British Columbia, starting October 1st, they have a snow tire and chain requirement.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can, please.
So if she stays into September, and as she works her way south, she's gonna run into summer again.
Oh, I was gonna get there.
Okay.
I was gonna get there.
Like right now in Eastern Washington,
It's 75 degrees.
it's
80.
75, 80 degrees today in Spokane.
So-
So you're gonna slowly leave fall and re-enter summer.
And then fall hits again in the lower 48. But there's no chain requirements until
October
October 1st in British Columbia. You do have the Rocky Mountains to go over and through and all this. And it can snow in
July.
June, July, August.
It can snow.
So it can snow anytime.
Any month.
But
And if it does, just stay put until it
Until it
melts,
melts, right.
and then go.
But as you travel south, you're going to chase fall and hit summer again. It was pretty amazing when we did that. Well, 19 and 17.
Okay, next
So-
question. Jerry Wantersick? Wantersick?
Juan Trusick.
Wantersick.
Sure.
Jerry
Hi, Jerry.
Wantersick. He asked, what would seem to be the best months to visit Alaska, considering a trip that would be planned to stop and explore places about 3 or 4 days at a time? Summer.
Summer, so
June through-
get up here late May, June, July, August, and leave September.
Just depends on how long you want to stay. Know that starting usually late July to August, that's our rainy season, and the front of that is the dry season.
This year the
So
rainy season was rainy.
you have to be
Anyway,
prepared for
yeah.
everything.
But it's hard to say best months. Just be prepared for any condition because it can snow in any month.
And I have to add that for you saying staying 3 or 4 days at each stop, that's
That's
perfect.
the best way to do it. I wouldn't go any less than that.
Yes. I always suggest the three,
Three threes?
scenarios, 3 threes. 300 miles,
3
stop
p.m.
by 3 p.m. and stay
3 nights.
3 days or 3 nights.
Yep. So let's go moving on to road conditions. We have Susie Christianic asking, how are the roads? We have a 40-foot Winnebago Forza. I'm familiar with the Forza. It's a good rig.
Yeah.
You'll have no problem.
I would say anticipate the back roads of the lower 48, like the
Like the county roads.
county roads,
Right.
state highways.
Yeah.
Don't expect interstate.
Nope.
It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
And have expectations once you're above the 60th parallel. It's going to be a slow go and potholes.
Right. There's generally an area, Kulani Lake and up.
Haines Junction.
Haines
is a good
Junction.
point,
Yeah, Haines
is
Junction.
where it really starts.
Right. Between Haines Junction and Alaska is where it starts to get rough, and it does.
It's just
And
because
it's
of
different every year.
it's the frost heaves.
Yep.
It's the ground underneath us and the freezing and the thawing. It just creates havoc with our roads, and it's something you just have to slow down and put up with.
It's nature. There's nothing we can do about it.
It's not going to ruin your rig as long as you slow down, and they're very telltale signs.
It's crazy when you're riding down the road. You know, you got the white dotted line over here. You got the white stripe over here, and you all of a sudden see these lines go like that.
They squiggle.
They squiggle. When you see that happening, slow down and take the bumps and then proceed.
Nice thing too is when you're that far north, there's not very much traffic, and you can
You can
usually
take the whole
use
road.
the entire highway to your advantage, and you can drive in the
Yep.
left-hand lane, oncoming lane, because you'll be able to see. Obviously, don't do that on a curve,
Right.
but you'll be able to use the whole road to navigate the bad spots.
Right. And now Catherine Soto is asking, do we need four-wheel drive? No, these are roads. We're talking county roads.
I mean, many
state
RVs
roads.
are not
these
four-wheel
RV
drive.
roads aren't, I mean, if you're going to park your RV and go on a wilderness adventure off the Denali Highway somewhere, then yeah, I would suggest four-wheel drive as an adventure vehicle. But as a RV, what you're bringing to Alaska to live in, no, you do not need four-wheel drive.
Susan Diane asks, knowing which roads are gravel dirt and which ones are paved as maps versus live updates seems to differ. And Susan, what I'm going to do is one of my moderator Mondays, I'm going to focus on all the different roads and highways and tell you and explain what they're like. So like the Denali Highway is completely dirt. The Dalton Highway is completely dirt. The Endicott
Right.
Highway is
Dirt.
completely dirt. So those your speed limits are gonna be a lot slower, 30 miles an hour, versus everything else.
Like the Glen is a freaking freeway from Fairbanks to Wasilla.
You mean the parks?
The park, I'm sorry, the
That we
parks.
live on.
We live on the parks. Well, no, it's the Glen till the parks. It's from Anchorage, it's the Glen.
Well, that's true.
Okay.
A very small portion.
From
when you're
Anchorage-
talking Fairbanks.
From Anchorage to Palmer, it's the Glen.
Yes, and then it turns into the parks.
Then it turned into the
to
park.
Fairbanks.
But that's a freeway. That's 2 lanes in each direction.
And a lot of people are surprised. Outside of Anchorage, we have 3-lane, almost interstate.
It is.
That's
interstate,
the closest thing to interstate we
yep.
have. Okay.
So, Stephen McCluskey. Noel McCuskey. I'd like to know.
It's Steve, not Steven.
Sorry.
Sorry, Steve.
Sorry, Steve. Steve McCuskey. Did I get it? I think I got it. McCuskey. I'd like to know, of those choosing to go to the Arctic Circle, on a Canadian or Alaskan side, what rig are they driving and towing if applicable?
I wouldn't be towing.
No towing. I would take your towed, if you're towing, to the Arctic Circle. If you're in a truck camper, leave your camper, take your truck.
A truck camper could make it
Well, you're right.
easier.
Easy, yeah.
I wouldn't tow on those roads.
A B van would be great.
Small.
Yeah. If you're pulling a RV, a pull behind trailer, fifth wheel, leave it. And
We did it with our truck and we tent camped the entire weekend and we went all the way to Prudhoe Bay.
Yep.
And be as light as possible, and again, no towing. I wouldn't recommend it.
Don't tow, and be ready for any weather conditions.
And mechanical
Failures, tires, windows,
plugs.
plugs. Yeah, be prepared for flat tires. Yes.
That will be a future subject where we cover going off the beaten path. So we'll discuss it because we have done it, and we have a great playlist on our YouTube channel
Yep.
about taking the journey up to Prudhoe.
It's not as scary as people think.
No,
It's not.
it is
It's a
rough
lot of
road.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's
Oh,
rough
great.
road because it's partial chip seal and partial dirt. And honestly, I'd rather be on a dirt road than a chip seal road. But it can be done, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes. And then that comes into the next question. Where do we go?
Sue Mellett Warren. So Sue
Sue.
Mellett Warren asks, how much wear and tear will occur on a 40-foot motorhome due to road conditions? And I think that has to do on how you drive it.
It really is. It depends on how you drive and how you see the oncoming obstacle, frost heave, or whatever it may be. You know, you have to be aware of the conditions that you're driving in, and you have to drive for those conditions.
The other big thing is walkarounds. Whenever you stop, do a walk around.
Absolutely.
Kick the tires, touch them, touch the hubs.
Right. You're so good.
Go look underneath and see if everything looks to be in order.
Right.
Know your rig intimately, and you should be okay because
At
you'll
that
see
point,
something.
you'll see when something's starting to fail. You know, even take a temperature, one of those temperature guns, and shoot your tires and shoot your hubs, and
with
you
a
know,
temperature gun.
Right, a temperature gun.
Gauge.
Gun. I've got one in my drawer here.
YouTube is not going to like that word.
Oh. So do the walk around. Every time you stop for fuel, when you stop for the night, walk your vehicle and inspect it. And you shouldn't have a problem. Drive for the conditions.
Yeah. Next topic, communication.
We don't do that very well. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. So Paige Harris Cox asks, if we have an issue, what is the best method of staying in contact with others?
Well, it really depends on where you are in your travels. Quite a bit of the journey you will be within cell range, and you can use your cell phone for any kind of contact. Either using your jetpacks or your cell phone or whatever it may be. But there's also quite a large distance where you will be out of cell range, and we have this Garmin GPS satellite communication device that is a satellite communicator. We can send text messages or emails to a contact list in the device.
And our loved ones can actually follow us if this is turned on. Every 10 minutes, it sends a signal out as to our location so they can see that we're moving and doing okay. We used this when we broke down in middle of Canada, and I was able to communicate to my mom to get a hold of Gary, who was away getting parts while I was stuck in no man's land without cell signal. This is a lifesaver, especially in Alaska.
So this is a Garmin InReach device. There's several versions of it.
This is one of the more advanced version. They have smaller ones.
Yes.
Actually, I think this one's been discontinued.
I think that one's been discontinued,
but it still works.
We can link it with our phone and use our phone to communicate through it.
Has an SOS button, so if we're in like dire emergency need, we hit that, and a dispatcher will start communicating through us
It'll
via
go to
text.
a local search and rescue area. This has been used on boating adventures, hunting adventures, ATV rides, camping trips. Quite a few locations we go, or wherever we go, that doesn't have any cell service, we always take that. And the security that you have with that is amazing. We're boating, 50 miles offshore, a 4-hour run. I can send a quick message. We've made it to our destination. And your loved ones know.
Yep. We also had a situation at our rally last year where we had a member missing. He got stuck about 5 miles from camp, and we had to send a search party out for him.
Right.
And this came key because then we in base camp were in contact with the search party, which at the point when we decided to call troopers, the lost party member actually was able to get a phone call out to the troopers. So the troopers then gave me the coordinates. So then while they were out searching, I could send them the coordinates.
We received the coordinates so we could more pinpoint the location of the lost party.
So we were able to get to our lost party member hours earlier than had we not had this available. So this is, I would say, high on the priority list.
I would think that night it was almost a life-saving device.
Yes. It was. We're so thankful. Everything turned out great, but it was a very scary situation.
Had a great time, Ed. Thanks.
It was a very scary situation, and I'm glad that we had a positive outcome. But because of this little device, it was life-saving. And maybe it's not for you, meaning you would use it for you, but wonder if you came upon a car accident in the middle of the Alcan where there's no cell signal, and you're the first person on site, you could use this to get help to whoever is needing it. Also, staying in communication, if cell phones, they do work, but sometimes like our cell phones are AT&T, so we carry a Verizon jetpack as well. So we have more than one signal to communicate.
Right.
So, and then this is also an AT&T jetpack. So you have options of communicating other than just your cell phone. And some people have rented satellite phones. There is a company in Anchorage where you can rent one for the summer or for the time that you are here.
Well, so next question is Sandy Songerstone. I'm interested in knowing how to best communicate with family and or others in the event of problems while traveling through Canada and Alaska. I think we covered that very well with the Garmin InReach products. There's several products that you can purchase, and there are subscription-based. You do have to pay a minimal fee for the service, but
It's well worth
it's
it.
well worth it.
And you could leave it on all the time plugged into your rig and it will just ping out your location every 10 minutes. And only the people that you choose to share it with will get that, so they know you're okay. Boy, you guys are hanging in there. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
All right.
So now Phil Travaglino has a second question. Is a CB radio useful on this adventure? You know, I can't honestly answer that question because we've never used a CB radio. I do know in talking to locals who have driven like the Hall Road, the road to Prudhoe Bay, that there are CBs used quite a bit in that area.
It's where you can easily communicate with the truckers who are on the roads, you know, hauling up and down the Alcan, our everyday essentials. So if you have an emergency, you might be able to use a CB to contact them to get word.
Right.
I think there's also regulations in Canada regarding CB
I believe
radios.
there is an issue in Canada, but I'm not positive.
But
We have never used it.
no, we use cell phones and our InReach primarily. Our InReach, I think their plans start around $35 a month for 40 text messages a month, which if you're just using this for peace of mind, that's well paid for.
I also do want to say we are not in any way sponsored with InReach right now.
No,
This is just, we're promoting this product because we believe in this product and we use this product.
as an Alaskans, this is
Yes,
essential.
yes.
Anytime we go anywhere off the road system, this goes with us.
Yes, absolutely.
In fact, I also make sure it's charged.
All the
As soon
time.
as we come home from whenever we've used it, it gets charged immediately because we don't know when that emergency call that someone's lost and they need
Right.
help, that we take this and it's ready to go.
Ready to go.
So, yeah, not sponsored.
Nope. Okay, moving on a little bit. Recreation beyond the RV. So we have Cindy Hill Newland asking, what is a good small boat you can buy for use when camping? We want one that can handle very small gas outboard motor. Looking for a boat that will fit in bed of a pickup truck for 2 people. Wow, that's, I've seen these little kayak style boats with a little outboard.
Two
Two
pontoons that go
It's kind
to
of a little bit longer, but air inflated. I think that would be great. I mean, I can't necessarily say go to this model, get that, because I don't know.
I personally would just recommend a blow-up kayak.
Kayak might be
and
best.
Paddle. I'm afraid a small gas outboard motor may give you more confidence of hitting bigger water than you might want to.
'Cause I'm seeing you put yourself into a area where the water looks great now, but once you get upstream, it's too much for that little small outboard to handle. So be cautious of that. A kayak is amazing. A lot of good water for a kayak.
Yes,
And if the water does start moving faster than you're comfortable with, the kayak should handle it fine.
yes. And the other thing you gotta think of too is life preservers, life vests.
Yes.
Our water is cold.
Cold water up here.
And it could kill you. Hypothermia could set in very quickly. Even in our lakes, they look fabulous, but they are cold. So I don't know if I would want to haul up a boat with an actual onboard motor. I would look at a really nice, storable, compact, inflatable kayak.
I think I agree with that. A very small outboard gas motor might get you into more problems than you were thinking, unless it's like a 15-foot Zodiac with a 20-horse motor or something like that you could really do something with.
And this might be a good question to pose the group later
Right.
on when we're in full conversation mode and someone else might have a better opinion. But to me, I think an inflatable kayak that you can completely deflate, put in one of your bays, you're not going to be able to use it all the time, so just have it available to you if you want to get on the water.
Right.
but not having to haul it everywhere. I know when in 17 we hauled our 4-wheeler everywhere, and we didn't use it all the time.
Oh,
but
I used it.
You used it, but not all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes we wish we had that extra space. Okay, next question.
Nancy Carey. What is your favorite excursion, either coming up the Alcan in Alaska, or in Alaska, I guess? Do you have any special places you stop? We always stopped for cinnamon rolls. Well, yeah, I mean, cinnamon buns are amazing.
Cinnamon buns.
Ooh-wee.
I have 2 recommendations.
Go for it. You're probably one of mine. Go for it.
Icefields Parkway.
Oh my gosh, you stole that right away. Yes.
Especially at the visitor center.
Yep.
That's a great overnight stop. You can overnight.
Yep, urban boondocking. Or
It is paid
camping,
but it's lot docking.
Lot docking.
And they have several excursions straight from the visitor center. You can take this big machine and go on the glacier. They have the skywalk. It's just worth it.
It's very much worth it.
And number 2 for me, Dawson City, Yukon.
Both of them.
Lots of great mining
let me think
history.
of something else. Coming up the Alcan, or is it or in Alaska, M in Alaska?
I think it's ore.
Okay.
I don't know. And neither are on the Alcan, so I apologize. So maybe you haven't. Oh, I know. For the Alcan, Laird
Hot Springs. I mean, you have to stop there.
Yeah.
But now let's go into Canada a little bit. What is your must-do?
Those are all in Canada.
I'm sorry, let's get out of Canada and go to Alaska. What are your must-do
On the Alcan?
adventures? Yeah, on the Alcan. If we're limited to the Alcan, after you hit Alaska.
Fast Eddie's in Toke.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. Next question.
Next. Josie LaCroix Osborne. When going fishing, can you do it on your own, like stopping by the side of the lake or river, or do you have to go with a guide and pay more money? We would obviously have the correct license and make sure we have the fishing rule book.
Once you get your non-resident fishing license for the summer, actually just buy the year resident. It's year non-resident.
I have pricing.
Okay, go ahead. Pricing.
So a 1-day fishing pass license. So this would be like if you're going to go on a fishing charter and you know this is the only time you're going to fish,
once.
buy a 1-day pass for $15. These are all non-resident prices. If you want a weekend pass, 3 days, and not necessarily a weekend, but 3-day pass is $30, a 7-day pass is $45, and annual is $100. This is for the state of Alaska.
Right. You're going to be here for 2 months, 3 months. Get yourself an annual pass. And that will open up all freshwater and all saltwater fishing for you.
Sports fishing.
Sport fishing.
Not all.
If you
But
want
most.
to fish for king salmon, you have to get a separate king stamp.
And there's certain areas that are closed to tourists.
Right. So
that
you have to
only
know,
locals-
look at the regulations and figure it out. But there is an amazing amount of fishing in lakes everywhere, rivers, streams. I mean, grayling fishing is a heck of a lot of fun.
Alaska Fish and Game stock a lot of lakes.
A lot of lakes are fished.
Rainbow
Yep.
trout.
Yep.
And there's so many different fishing options. So if you like to fish, go ahead, get your license before you come up. Same thing in Canada. I believe you can buy non-resident licenses in each province
Or territory.
And same thing.
So, however, one thing I do have to say is non-residents are not allowed to dip net fish in Alaska.
You can observe.
You can watch it all happen. You can watch the craziness, and I suggest you do watch it. It's kind of crazy and fun. But you can't do it. That's a resident thing only. But you can go on the shores of Seward and toss a snag line in and see what kind of fish you can pull out and enjoy as much as you can.
So much good fishing.
So much. I mean, even now on the Kenai, they're pulling up bright silvers. It's just so good.
Next question from Mary.
Oh, Mary, what's she have to say? Mary Sturgis Payne. I recognize that name. She's been around for a while. Anyway, next question from Mary Sturgis Payne. Care for my dog if we go on a day-long excursion.
Well, there's a couple of options for you.
Yeah.
You can ask the campground host, or if you're in a campground or a private park, ask at the office if they have any recommendations. Also, there is an app called Rover.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right.
it is gaining popularity here in Alaska, especially with so many places like Seward that has long tour days. You can usually find a dog sitter through that. And I realize most people, it's hard to leave their dog for,
Any amount of time.
any amount of time.
Right.
But sometimes we've been on very long excursions, and if they have an accident, we don't blame them or fault them.
Nope.
It's our fault. But typically, like our dogs, they can go an entire night without going potty.
It's been 8 to 12 hours, and sometimes even longer that we've had an excursion, and they've been good.
And it's not often that you'll have those super long excursions. So when you do, if you can find a dog walker or sitter, or maybe your next door neighbor, maybe you're going on an adventure, but they're not, maybe they can just poke in.
And maybe use the group that we're currently on and ask, hey, we're going to be in Seward this day. Can somebody watch my dogs while we go on the glacier tours and this and that? This is what we're for.
Never hurts to ask.
Right. All right, let's go to the next question here. Can't get my glasses on. So Brenda Hurley Lloyd is asking, we're cruising to Whittier. Great. Then we have 2 weeks in an RV. Awesome. We want to see the bears and other wildlife. We'll be starting in Anchorage on June 3rd. Where will we find the most bears, and what other spots are must see or do?
Well, Brenda, I'm going to answer this. Your timing is a little off for the bears. The bears are really prevalent when the salmon migration is going on, which is later in the summer. But what I would recommend you do is go down to Homer in the RV, spend some time in Homer, and book a flight over to Lake Clark National Park or to Katmai.
There may be flights out of Anchorage too, to that area.
There could be.
Yeah.
I know we went and saw the bears, I believe it was June 12th.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was our ferry ride. I apologize. It was June 20th.
I don't know how she remembers this.
I don't know either. I'm
dates
weird.
are amazing.
But it was near the end of June, and we went to Lake Clark National Park to see the bears, and it was still spring, and they're feeding on grass. They're not even looking at the salmon yet.
Right.
And that's the big draw is late July, August are when the bears are very, very active.
That's Katmai area where they're just going crazy in the falls.
So Homer or a tour out of Anchorage.
Right. Gizmos and gadgets and must-haves. What mosquito repellent works best?
I like Terra Shield. It is a doTERRA product. This does wonders, and it smells good. It doesn't smell chemically. It's citronella, so as long as you can kind of smell.
Yeah. It works well for a limited time. It's like a 2 hour, then you got to reapply.
Thermocells are great.
Thermocells work well so long as it's not too breezy out. I have used Ben's DEET. It's like 100% DEET.
You put it on your clothing.
Don't put it on your skin. Put it on a scarf or a wristband or something like that, and it works very well. And it lasts a long time.
By the end of the summer, you kind of get used to it, and you're just like...
This year, actually, they weren't bad at all.
No, it just depends on the year. Bradley Rawlings asks, when are the new mileposts available? And again,
you said March?
I said March. Sometimes it gets pushed, and I apologize, I'm trying to grab it. We've always purchased on Amazon. You can usually find them also in your local bookstores. If you still have one of those, but March, sometime in March, you can get it online.
And next one, work camping, Chanda. Does anyone work seasonal jobs while in Alaska? There are a ton of seasonal jobs in Alaska.
The best thing to do is just put a post out there, contact the local campgrounds.
Contact the Alaska Tourism Board.
That might be a good resource too. It's just, sometimes a lot of campgrounds have repeat offenders. They come up every year and work for them. It just
But
depends.
are we looking at seasonal camping, like campsite? Or are we looking at like camp host? Or are we looking at seasonal job on a fishing boat, or seasonal job on in a coffee shack, or seasonal job
the Sea Life
Sea Life
Museum.
Museum. So there's a lot of options. There's a lot of seasonal jobs in
True.
Alaska.
I mean,
A
just
lot of
like
seasonal
everywhere
jobs.
else, the people are hiring left and right.
You know, Seward and Homer, Anchorage not so much. Fairbanks, yeah, there's a lot of seasonal work in those areas.
So
Yep.
it can be found.
Yep.
Sharon Taylor asked, what is the Alcan app to cross the border? Well, you don't need to use it anymore, Sharon.
But ArriveCan?
ArriveCan, yes. And it is something that you can still use to help expedite your...
Expedite?
Expedite, sorry. To get you across the border a little bit quicker. But it's something, it's not required anymore as of yesterday. Well, as of the first.
All right. Maintenance on the road is a big issue. Nancy Carey has a question about this. Do you have a plan when the unexpected happens? Our RV has been in the shop parking lot for 8 weeks now, waiting for one part.
They're in Fairbanks.
They're in Fairbanks right now?
They're still here.
Oh my gosh, really? Mm-hmm. You know, how do you plan for that?
I think right now it's just weird times, unusual times, supply chain issues.
I mean, we can attest to this delivery time of parts. We're building a house right now, and we've had delay after delay for parts and pieces and this and that. So I know it's a thing. It shouldn't be, but it's a thing.
I will have to say, Nancy, you're the first case that we've ever seen this happen to.
Yeah.
In our 6 years of running this page. And I think I have to put the blame on just the current world situation and supply chain.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, and no one can make sense of why parts are taking so long, other than
weird.
If it's a computer chip issue. I mean, I don't know. All I can say is be flexible and be adaptable.
Right.
I believe I have read on the page from 22 that you got an Airbnb and you're making the best of it.
Great.
And
it's a beautiful time to be here. I mean, it really is.
Right.
Fall is amazing.
And maybe if it drags on much longer, you might have to make arrangements for when it is fixed, put your rig in long-term storage.
Well, the barge is still running too.
There is a barge, yes.
Tote Marine.
And the barge is an easy way to get vehicles up or down, and it's not, with gas prices right now, it's probably comparable.
Yep.
So that's a tough one. It's not an everyday happens to everyone.
That's very unusual.
I know we have another 22 member who is also kind of stuck waiting on parts.
Ooh.
And it's just unfortunate. It's just right now, that's how the world is running.
But maintenance on the road, I mean, have on you, have belts and hoses if you can, and plugs and wires and springs and shackles and the easily attainable stuff that you can fix on the road. Have that with you as much as you can. And then that'll help you every day. These specialty parts that are so delayed is an unusual circumstance, and there's nothing you can do about that, but make the best of the situation.
Yep.
And it sounds like Nancy's doing a good job at it.
I wish you the best.
I'm sorry the situation is what it is.
Yeah, I know it's October, it's getting cold, especially in Fairbanks. I would love to be, if I was in that situation, maybe come down to Anchorage where it's a little more mild.
A little warm. Well, I hope, she's got another month before it gets
stupid
cold. And that is a thing, stupid cold.
Stupid cold.
Yeah.
So, and again, our last is about our rally, and Don Reimel. Hi, Don.
Hi, Don.
He wants to know when our rally is. And Don, as we stated earlier,
Looking forward to it.
The rendezvous at the river is going to be July 9th through the 13th. And we'll have more information coming out later in the year. And tickets will go on sale March 1st.
It's going to be a great time. I'm excited about this rendezvous. It's completely different than last year's. It'll be a lot of fun.
And it's a lot of fun. It's just a way to meet other like-minded RVers who've made the journey and done all the things that you've done. They get what you've done to be there. And for us, we've made lifetime relationships from our rallies.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we hope that you will join us as
And
well.
not just rallies, it's just this group in general. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that concludes our beginning of
Turning the page to the end.
all our number one questions answered. We really are excited to have you a part of the new RVing to Alaska original Facebook group.
It's going to be a good year. 2023 is going to be different for us because of the new format we're going forward with.
Yeah, we're no longer going to be doing like RVing to Alaska 2023 or 2024 or 2025. Right. This group is going to be the main group from here on out.
Right.
And that way we don't lose information over the years, and it makes research a little easier for you guys, and it keeps the copycats at bay.
Well, hey, that's a good thing too. So, you know, thank you for sticking it out with us this evening. I hope you got a lot of information and are able to bring it in and make something out of it.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot going on.
We look forward to seeing you on the group page with all your posts and contributing answers and just becoming not only members, but family.
Contributors and family. And oh, I remember that guy. He said this. Mm-hmm. I like him. It's kind of cool. So I can't wait to meet you at the river. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you again. We hope to see you next time. We'll probably have our next Monday night chat around the beginning of November. We're going to try to do these monthly for you. And until next time,
see you guys.
Drive safe.
Enjoy.
Take care. And here's to summer of 2023 in Alaska.
It's going to be a big one. Take care, guys.